Before the slave ships, before the plantations, before the Atlantic became a corridor of suffering, Europe did not arrive on West Africa's shores looking for slaves. They came for wealth, gold, pepper, ivory. And for a time, that is exactly what they found. In the 16th century, English and French merchants entered West African waters cautiously. The Portuguese had arrived earlier and claimed monopoly rights over access to the coast. They guarded their dominance fiercely. Rival ships faced harassment, seizure, sometimes violence. Yet ambition outweighed fear. English merchants like Thomas Wyndham, John Locke, and later William Towerson launched voyages into these contested waters between 1555 and 1557. The risks were enormous: treacherous seas, hostile competition, unpredictable winds, but the rewards were greater. Cargo holds returned filled with gold dust, pepper, ivory. London investors were satisfied, and so, it seems, were African trading partners. Because this was not conquest, it was commerce. European merchants brought textiles, metal tools, weapons, and manufactured goods. African rulers and merchants negotiated from positions of strength. Coastal states controlled access to inland trade routes. Nothing moved without their consent. At this stage, slavery was not the engine of the relationship, it was gold. But elsewhere in the Atlantic world, something darker was developing. The Portuguese had established plantations in the Atlantic islands and then in Brazil. Labor was required, and quickly. The demand for workers in the Americas began to reshape priorities along the West African coast. What had been one commodity among many, captives taken in local wars, began to take on new significance. Portugal, already deeply embedded along parts of the African coast, began purchasing captives in increasing numbers. And this shift changed everything. In the Kingdom of Congo, one ruler saw the danger clearly. King Afonso I, Mbemba Nzinga, was no enemy of Portugal. He was Christian, educated in European ways, an ally. But by the early 1500s, he saw his kingdom unraveling. Merchants, some Portuguese, some African, were kidnapping free people. Nobles, children, even members of his court. The trade was no longer controlled by diplomacy, it was an extraction. In a series of letters to the King of Portugal, Afonso pleaded for intervention. He protested illegal enslavement. He warned of social collapse. He begged for teachers and priests, not traders seeking bodies. These letters survive today. They are the earliest African commentary on European expansion, and they are filled with urgency. Congo had entered a partnership. It was being pulled into dependency. If the 16th century was a transition, the 17th century was a transformation. Europe changed. This was the age of chartered companies. England and France experimented with joint stock corporations, early forms of organized capital investment. The Dutch rose to dominance, combining commercial skill with naval force. Spain declined. The Caribbean became a battleground of sugar colonies, and sugar required labor, immense labor. The Atlantic slave trade evolved into a structured system. Ships sailed from Europe with manufactured goods. They traded those goods for captives. They crossed the Atlantic in the Middle Passage. They returned with sugar, tobacco, and silver. Profit calculated in ledgers. Human lives are reduced to inventory. From the mid-17th century onward, this system would dominate European-African relations for 2 centuries. But Africa was not passive. The 17th century reshaped the continent internally. In the Western Sudan, the mighty Songhai Empire collapsed. Trans-Saharan trade declined. Cities like Timbuktu and Jenne felt economic contraction. With European ships now accessing West Africa directly by sea, gold and ivory increasingly flowed westward, not north across the Sahara. This shift altered entire regional economies. In the forest belt between savannah and coast, new powers emerged: Ashanti, Dahomey. They rose in environments reshaped by Atlantic commerce. Older states like Oyo and Benin faced new pressures. Political structures adapted, militaries expanded, trade networks reorganized. Further south, in 1652, the Dutch established a foothold at the Cape of Good Hope. This small settlement would grow into a permanent European presence in southern Africa. In Central Africa, new constellations of power emerged among Bantu-speaking peoples. In the northeast, Ethiopia repelled Muslim rivals and asserted strength. Along the Middle Nile, the Black Sultans of the Fungi built a formidable state. The continent was dynamic, but the Atlantic economy now influenced every coastline it touched. What began as trade for gold and ivory became a machinery of human export. What began as cautious partnership hardened into structural dependency. And once established, systems are difficult to dismantle. The slave trade did not erupt suddenly. It evolved from commerce, from competition, from profit. And by the time its full horror was visible, it had already reshaped 4 continents. History rarely begins with its worst chapter, it builds toward it. Gold became pepper, pepper became captives, captives became a system. And that system would define the Atlantic world for centuries. Thanks for watching. Please like and share the video to help support the channel. Subscribe for more videos on Forever Blessed History. See you in the next video.